Hey guys, how are you doing? Oisin, thanks for coming on.
Steve?
So tell me about Handy. You've blended technology and like old school home cleaning, home repair. What is going on?
Look, if you need a cleaner, you need a handyman, you need a plumber, it's such a painful process, and we wanted to fix it. We wanted to make it so that you go to the Handy mobile app or you go to handy.com and you can instantly book a home cleaner and handyman. We started about 2 years ago, and that was kind of the goal from day one, and that's what we're driving at today.
And what's the goal? So home cleaning is kind of the Trojan horse to get you into people's homes. What's like the end goal?
Everything in your home, every service you need is such a pain. It doesn't matter if it's a cleaner, if it's a handyman, it's a plumber, it's electricians, it's carpenters, it's carpet cleaners, it's window cleaning. It's all a painful process. Our goal is to make it so that your home is something you don't even think about managing. So you don't even think about what needs to be done. It just happens magically. That's where we're trying to get to. So it's not about cleaning. Cleaning is just a way for us to build brand, build trust, build credibility, and get access to as many homes as possible so we can deliver that magical experience for as many consumers as possible.
Now, there's real people involved, obviously. There's in homes. How do you scale up the network, but also scale up your labor force as well?
Yeah, so we started in Boston and New York, and the first thing we had to figure out was, how do you onboard service providers? How do you find talented people that you can trust to actually do these services inside homes? And that's a whole process flow. It's very similar to the onboarding flow for Uber drivers or for Halo drivers, where you've got to make sure that you're background checking, you're reference checking, and you're doing a whole lot of work on the front end to make sure that that quality comes through when the person goes to deliver the service.
And do you have any advice for people out there that are blending technology to kind of old school, labor intensive markets?
Yeah.
Like where do you start when you want to do this?
You start with trust. So local services are a really, really hard problem. So there's actually very few companies that have gotten and built local service businesses at any sort of scale. And the base of the pyramid is trust. So how do you find a way that you can convince the consumer to trust you to gain access to their home or to trust you to perform a service? Past that, it's about logistics. So how do you figure out how to make sure that the service pros show up on time or that the car shows up on time? Then it's service delivery, and then it's incident resolution. So you've got to have 24/7 customer care to make sure that when things go wrong, that you can solve the problem. And I think very few companies have actually gotten to that scale where they've delivered those four things consistently across tens of thousands of bookings or hundreds of thousands of bookings a week. And I think after that, you start thinking about surprise and delight and personalization. But the base of the pyramid is trust. Mm-hmm. Like, that's where it all starts.
And you mentioned customer service. I feel like that's an area neglected a lot or not looked into much when people create these companies. Like, how important is customer service to Handy, and how do you do it right?
It's all about customer service. So it's all about delivering the best consumer experience you possibly can. We run 24/7 customer care out of New York. We have about 100 people in New York that do customer care. We have another 10 people in London that do customer care. And it's about making sure that the people running customer care really understand what the problem is that the consumer is facing. So it's super important.
And what is the future? I read somewhere that you guys want to be the Amazon for the home. That's a very lofty.
That's a big scary one.
That's good, right? Before you were Uber for home, now you're Amazon for home.
Did we change that?
I think so, or the press did. I don't know. But what do you see? What's the ultimate goal? Or where do you see you in 1 year, 3 years, that kind of thing?
So I think scale for the sake of scale is stupid. Saying like, hey, we want to be bigger just so we can be bigger is stupid. Scale for the sake of a better customer experience makes a ton of sense. Like, that makes a shitload of sense. And what I mean by that is, if you have the most cleaners in a city, then when you come to the Handy app or you do a search, there will be a cleaner available.
Yeah.
Similarly, on the service pro side, when they come and they see, hey, I want to do a job tomorrow, there'll be work available if you have the most consumers. So scale where it actually delivers a better customer experience, that makes a lot of sense. And that's our goal. So we're in 28 cities today, 25 in the US, 2 in Canada, and we're in London as well. And our goal is to be as big as possible in those cities so that it delivers the best customer experience and the best service pro experience. That's where we want to be in the kind of short term, in the next 12 to 18 months.
In building this network, what has been the biggest challenge you faced?
Look, it's the classic supply-demand problem. It's the fact that if you bring on too many service pros, then they're disappointed because there's not enough work. You bring on too many customers, then the customers are disappointed because when they do a search, you're either surge pricing or you're trying to smooth the demand curve to different times of the week. Like, when do you think everyone wants a cleaner? Guess. Time of the week. When do you think everyone wants it?
Monday.
No, they want it Friday. Everyone wants their home clean Friday at like 8 to 10 a.m. That's like the typical, I want my home clean, but right before the weekend.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a problem. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to smooth that demand curve out, and yet you don't want to have just enough cleaners to serve the Friday peak time. And that's the biggest problem. It's managing supply and demand.
And everyone talks about how Handy's really good for the customer, but you actually provide a really good service for the service providers.
It's amazing. If I was a cleaner, if I was a handyman, I would use Handy. It's the most flexible way to run your life. So the typical cleaner in New York, or the typical cleaner anywhere, has dependents. So they're either taking care of kids or they're taking care of a parent. And there's so many stories of people who were working shift work. They were doing 40 hours a week in various forms of shift work, and it didn't match the schedule that they needed. They couldn't get the flexibility to take care of their family. And you flip to a model where I can work the hours that I want to work, and it changes the game completely. It just gives incredible flexibility while still giving people a very, very fair wage. I mean, the average cleaner on Handy earns $18.50 an hour.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very fair wage.
And it's all automated on their side. The payments, the scheduling, they have a back-facing app that takes care of everything.
So the customer, the experience for the service pros, they come to the Handy mobile app, they claim the jobs. An average job would be 3 hours long. They show up, they do the work. The next day we pay them. Pay them incredibly fast. We do payments 7 days a week to make sure that it's not about saying, hey, like, can we hold the money and can we have this float, or can we? Because it's really about delivering the best experience to both sides. We pay incredibly quickly. We want to make it like it is. We want it to be better than the offline experience. And the offline experience, you get paid straight away. We want to move to that. We want to move to the cleaner walks out the door and they get a message that says the money's in your bank account. Like, that's where we want to go. We don't want to think about how can we bulk it to the end of the week. That's just stupid.
Yeah. And how would that work, like a Venmo or a Stripe or something like?
Yeah, we're looking at a couple of different options. We want to make sure that we're doing something that's scalable across the different countries that we're in.
And in the industry, in the kind of the Uberification of everything, what's exciting you right now in the marketplace? What's exciting you in old traditional businesses that are getting disrupted by technology?
I think what's exciting me most is that it's a concept that people aren't talking about as much. It's that the first service people really bought online was travel, right? The first real service that people bought online, like in massive scale, was travel. And the funny thing is they were trusting the travel agent to perform the transaction. So whether it was a Priceline or an eBookers, whatever it is, they were trusting them to perform the transaction. But it was really, they were buying the legacy brand. They were buying Aer Lingus or British Airways or United or Holiday Inn or whatever the original brand behind it was. Now these platforms that are being built, whether it's an Uber or an Airbnb, the platform is the brand that people are trusting. And that concept that you're aggregating unknown brands or unknown people, and it's really the platform that is the brand that's capturing the most value, that's creating the marketplace and creating the transaction flow. I think that concept is what's exciting me most. So I look at verticals where that's the case, whether it's health or whether it's there's somebody backstage doing hair and makeup. I noticed you got your hair done backstage.
Yes,
I think you look great. I think it was What Salon, but like that concept of aggregating unknown brands is really interesting.
And bringing brand trust to individuals as a way to
creating enough trust so that you can perform the transaction instantly. That's exciting.
Amazing. Anything else you want to talk about? We have 2 minutes.
Oh God, that's scary. Let's talk about your clothes.
What do you think? You like them?
A little similar to mine.
Yeah, we're twins today.
Yeah,
I think we're set, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.